me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
Parks and Rec is the heart of the village. Parks and Rec is the culture, and in Parks and Rec, you get to build it. When we talk about culture, a lot of times a city expresses its culture through the festivals that they put on, through special events, through the people they serve, through the different cultures, whether it's an African-American culture, a Latino culture, an Asian culture that finds itself in this city, and then the Parks and Rec tries to see how they can serve these individual, these communities within communities, these families within this village.
Welcome to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. We shine a light on the behind-the-scenes heroes who keep our parks vibrant and our communities connected. Today we're diving into the heart of Parks and Rec and what it means for our community. Parks and Rec is more than just a job, it's a calling. You get to build the culture of your community, bringing people together through festivals and special events. You're a party planning commission for your city. You have the chance to create and preserve the beautiful green spaces that will last for generations, leaving behind a lasting legacy. The people in this industry are driven by a servant's heart, dedicated to making an impact and serving everyone, especially the most vulnerable. You're not just a cog in a wheel, you're building something bigger than yourself. Let's dive in.
All right, Craig LeBlanc here, the doorman with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. I have a special treat for y'all today. Been up all morning, kind of compiling notes on what are the top 10 reasons from the field, from the industry, veterans, experts, directors, leaders that I've interviewed over the past year. What are the top 10 reasons why you want to be a part of Parks and Recreation? And man, this is going to be my version 1.0 because this is something special. I've never really taken a really good step back and tried to just express and tell the story from all the input that I've gotten this year as to why you believe, why you're in Parks and Recreation and all the different reasons and some of the common threads that I've seen throughout this. So, but before we get started with that, let me go ahead and play our little promo and our thank you to explain what we're trying to do here at the Daily Parks and Rec Show / DPRS Media Company as we build out this media organization for the Parks and Rec industry. Play these two clips and we'll come right back and tell y'all the top 10 reasons why you should be in Parks and Recreation.
Welcome to DPRS Media Co, the first media company built for the people behind the Parks and Rec community. We don't just cover on Parks and Rec, we elevate it, we amplify it, we honor it. At the heart of everything we do is one mission: to serve the public servants, the professionals who design, maintain, and lead the parks that shape our communities. Under the Daily Parks and Rec Show, we produce 6 powerful platforms. Leadership in Parks and Rec, a spotlight on directors, superintendents, and visionaries shaping the future of public spaces. Facility maintenance, where the boots hit the ground, a deep dive into the systems, crews, and craftsmanship that keep our parks clean, safe, and beautiful. Young Professionals Network, shining a light on the next generation of Parks and Rec. Students, interns, and mentors sharing how we build a legacy together. Youth Sports Mastery, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics. This series is for coaches, parents, and rec leaders working to make youth sports fun, fair, and meaningful again. The Rec Room, hosted by the passionate leaders of Henry County Parks and Rec. This show brings frontline energy and real-life stories from the field. And the weekly Parks and Rec Post, our official newsletter delivering stories, insights, and community wins every week. We are DPRS Media Co, LLC, a media company with a mission to uplift the professionals who serve every community, every park, every day.
All right, so that's what we're about. That's what we're trying to accomplish here. Now, I will be able to play my 200th episode. Thank you. I think today or tomorrow might be my last day to play it, and then I'm going to have to wait till we get to our 300th episode, which we are already 13 episodes deep into the 200s. So another 87 episodes to go. But appreciate all the love and support that got us here today to our 200th episode. And this is just a big shout out and thank you to everyone that participated in that.
From a simple mic in a rec center to a full-scale media company for the people who power our parks. 200 real stories, 5 original shows, and more to come, with one powerful mission: to lift up the voices of parks and rec professionals across the country. From maintenance crews and young interns and youths who love sports, to directors and public servants making a difference. We've built a platform that honors the unsung heroes behind every clean trail, every weekend tournament, every safe, welcoming park. This milestone isn't just about the content, it's about the people, the passion, the purpose. To every guest, listener, and supporter, thank you. The next chapter starts today. This is DPRS Media Co. Media for public service.
All right, before we get started, if you are listening on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, please like and subscribe and share. Thank you for everyone that has already liked and subscribed and shared and sharing with their coworkers. And we even have a growing number of Parks and Rec departments that are now incentivizing their team members to watch the Daily Parks and Rec show to get the latest in just all the things we talk about, whether it be facilities maintenance, young professionals, sports, you name it, urban forestry. And then we've got quite a lineup of content that we produce every single week as we grow out this media company. So appreciate all the liking and subscribing and sharing. It really means a lot. Drop us a comment. Let us know what we can do better to improve the show. Let us know what other shows within the industry y'all would like us to create, because we are right in the middle of doing that. And I will also be playing a short commercial in the middle of this segment for those vendors that would like to help us create different segments of or different shows for the Daily Parks and Rec show and DPRS Media Company. So if you're interested, reach out to me on LinkedIn, and halfway through the show, we created a little promo for that. Okay, so here we are. Top 10 reasons you should be in Parks and Recreation. I've got it set up above me. So I wrote this out, and it's kind of a mashup conglomeration of all the answers that I would get when I would interview Parks and Rec professionals, directors, superintendents, everybody we've had on the show. It's got to be well over 500 people now. 200 episodes, and the answers I would get were just amazing. And so yesterday I was kind of going through the all the different episodes, and we're trying to incorporate a lot of those shows inside of these promos that we're making. And some of the shows I had to go into and just look at the notes, look at the answers, see what they were passionate about. One of the questions I ask in the interview process is, why do you do what you do? Why are you in Parks and Rec? Why not go get a job that pays a little bit more? What's the meaning and purpose for you? And those answers were just amazing. And I don't think any of these answers are going to be a shocker to anyone in Parks and Recreation, because there's such a common thread here. But anyway, here are the top 10 first stab. And what I'm going to do is, y'all know I like to just create live. And so this is my version 1 of top 10 reasons, and I'm going to get better at telling these, expressing these, and every episode, every phone call that I have, I'm gaining more depth and understanding and mastery around understanding the mission and vision and why of Parks and Rec. And then, just because you understand something doesn't mean that you can express it, that you can put it into words. That takes, it's kind of a heavy lift. It's a lot of listening. It's a lot of interviews. And then once you have all this information, you're like, okay, now how do I tell this in a meaningful, concise way that really represents the industry and the why of Parks and Recreation? So I thought I'd start off with just a top 10 of best I can do. And then maybe in 3 or 4 months, I'll do this again and try to get better and better at it. And I think this would be something that'll be valuable to the whole community. So I know in no particular order, I haven't ranked them, but let's just start with number one, building culture. So the mission, vision, and values of communities culture is expressed through its parks and rec and essential services they provide for their community. What is important to that community? Who do we serve? How do we serve them? Parks and Rec is the heart of the village. Parks and Rec is the culture, and in Parks and Rec, you get to build it. And so I think when we talk about culture, um, a lot of times a city expresses its culture through the festivals that they put on, through special events, through the people they serve, through the different cultures, whether it's an African American culture, a Latino culture, an Asian culture that finds itself in this city, and then the Parks and Rec tries to see how they can serve these individual, these communities within communities, these families within this village, um, and they really get to build the culture that's right in front of them. And so you can see, or at least I can see from the shows that I've when I've interviewed towns that are kind of mountain towns in California or city communities outside of Dallas, which is big metro areas, or southern, like in New Orleans and Mobile, where we have like this festival culture, of like parades and stuff, and then we've got heavy big sports culture kind of in the Gulf South and in Georgia and stuff, and then Chicago is just it's Chicago in the Northwest. It seems like every different culture has its own flavor, and the Parks and Rec really do the hard lifting of going out into the community, listening to the community, understanding what they want, and then going back home to their department and building the culture. And Parks and Rec is where that is expressed. And so that was a super common answer when answering the question of why are they in Parks and Rec. Okay, number two, and I did not expound on number two as much. It was one of the ones I didn't get to it, but the beauty. And so when we talk about the beauty of the park systems, the green spaces, the parks, the trails, preserving Mother Nature, bringing Mother Nature into the community, um, this is what you get to do. You get to plant those trees, these massive oak trees that are tiny when you get them, knowing that they're going to be 200 and 300-year-old trees long after your death. Um, Preserving these green spaces in the heart of our communities and making sure that they don't get turned into a parking lot or a big commercial development, but preserving that green space that has nature and trees and parks and just all you basically get to bring Mother Nature into the cities, into the concrete jungle, so that people can still have a part of essentially what we were born in. Obviously, we were all kind of born into the jungle. Okay, so that's the beauty. Number three, and this is one that I love. Originally, I spent a lot of my life in New Orleans, and New Orleans is huge on celebration and festivals and parades, and it's hundreds and hundreds of those going on throughout the year. So celebration through many special events throughout the year, you get to bring families together and help the community celebrate its most sacred holidays, bringing generations together for Christmas, Easter, holiday, festivals, 4th of July, one of a kind community celebrations throughout the year. So, for those of you that aren't as familiar with Parks and Recreation, it's one of the heavy lifts that they do is putting on these special events that take months. Really, they take all year to plan out. So even like say the big Christmas celebration or a big 4th of July parade, they will start planning and mapping out vendors, what we're going to do. How did we do this year? We're going to have a band. How many floats are in the parade? Who are we going to have speak at the special event? what type of other arts and crafts, what are we going to do for the kids? What are we going to do for the elderly? What are we going to do for, families and pets and you name it? And all this is planned, and that's all in one special event. Food trucks, you name it. Fireworks. It's literally you are the party planning commission for your city. And it's nothing to have a city have 10 of these special events scattered throughout the year. And we have many, many cities that have 50 or even 100 or 200 special events, festivals, parades, you name it. And they can have like concert series that happen maybe throughout the summer that are kind of like weekly events. And the Parks and Rec departments, this is a whole part of the Parks and Rec department. And so if that's something that's interesting to you, if you're listening and you're undecided what you want to do with your life, but you have always enjoyed attending festivals with your family when you go back home and you've got these little, downtown farmers markets kind of stuff, this is all kind of encapsulated in the celebration of a city, how a city celebrates, how it um, you know, puts on these festivals and stuff. So that was a big answer to why you want to be in Parks and Rec. Okay, now this is a big one, and I'm not sure where it would fall in it, but it's about the people. So most jobs would be great if not for the people, but in Parks and Rec, it's because of the people that this industry is so great. The people of Parks and Rec adapt and overcome constant obstacles for their communities, working holidays, weekend events, serving the elderly, the children, and everything in between, giving of themselves for the benefit of others. These are the public servants, and they all have servants' heart. These are the salt of the earth that make a difference in all our communities across America. And so, when you meet the people of Parks and Recreation and you see what they're about and how they choose to spend the best years of their life from after college to retirement, they're spending 30 and 40 years dedicating their lives to serving the people of their community. And I just can't say enough about the people of Parks and Recreation. And many of you have said that that is the reason that you do what you do, is because it's just a solid group of people to stand shoulder to shoulder with and do the job that they've been given in Parks and Recreation. So that was another big reason. Okay. Reason number 5, serve the underserved. Okay, so this was a good one. This is a big one. There are a lot of Parks and Rec people that this is why they're in this. So who will serve the least among us? The poor, the elderly, the homeless, the sick, the lonely, the single parent home, the children, the vulnerable, the handicapped, the Down syndrome, those that have been excluded, the newest residents, those away from home, the unathletic, the gamers, the hungry. Do you see how noble the cause of Parks and Rec is and how important the work they do in making sure that no one gets left behind? Parks and Rec helps those that need it most and does it year round in every community in America. And this is something that is constantly top of mind. Parks and Rec professionals are always looking at their facilities, their playgrounds, their programming, and thinking, okay, who are we leaving out? How do we make this playground more accessible so they can get to the playground, and then usable to where when they get to the playground, then they can use it. And this can be, you know, little children, this can be wheelchaired people, this can be, people that don't speak our language or speak, English. So having different signage and stuff. And then it goes into the programming. How many people can't attend a little league baseball because they just don't have a ride? And so Parks and Rec people are trying to say, well, how can we maybe get a bus and go pick up the people and get them to, the little baseball league so that they can have that experience, and it's just not a car ride that's preventing them from being able to make it. And many things just like that. So if you are interested in serving the underserved and making program available to the entire spectrum of people that live in a community, Parks and Rec is another great reason to be in the Parks and Rec industry. Okay, number 6, making an impact. So Sometimes at the end of a hard week, we look back at our efforts and down at our paycheck that we traded our time for and wonder if I just traded my energy, my life, my soul for some numbers on a screen. Did I make a difference? Is this world better off because of my efforts, or was I just a cog in the wheel grinding out a little more profit? Knowing that you are making a difference is critical to consistently bringing out the best in you. And so when you look at what drives Parks and Rec professionals, it's certainly not the massive paycheck and bonus that they get at the end of each week, month, year. Even though they do get paid, they get paid, have great benefits, and these are some of the most educated people, and they get paid as they increase their education and skill set, and they climb the corporate ladder um, extremely fast because it's a all hands lifting other hands up type of culture in parks and recreation. So though you might not start out at the highest level, you can ascend quickly because there's so many opportunities to form yourself as a leader, which is actually one of the other reasons up here. But making a difference is important, especially when you're like, where am I going to spend the next the best years of my life? From graduating college at 21 or coming out right out of high school at 18 till 65. Okay, this is a huge 40-year part of your life that is the best years of your life. Do you want to dedicate the best years of your life for a paycheck and helping someone else make a little more profit in whatever it is that they're doing? Or do you want to make a difference in your community, make an impact, serve the underserved, create the beautiful green spaces, build culture, and do it with some of the best people on earth? And so making an impact through your 40-year working career is a huge reason why Parks and Rec people continue to stay in this industry and work so hard for it. Okay, leaving so that was reason number 6. Reason number 7, leaving a legacy. Um, Plant a tree you will never sit up under. Legacy emphasizes the idea of leaving behind a positive impact on the world, contributing to a better future for those who come after us. Selflessness, and this is all under legacy, selflessness recognizes that many of the projects built will be enjoyed by others in the future. Foresight highlights the importance of thinking beyond one's own lifespan and considering the needs of future generations. And the meaning of life is often contributing to something larger than oneself. And so when you think of the concept of legacy, selflessness, foresight, meaning in life, um, it really is about having a long vision and a vision that extends beyond your own life. Because when you work in parks and recreation, everything you touch is built for the long haul. Like Parks and Rec don't build a facility that's going to last a few years. Everything we touch from the playground to considering where we're going to plant this oak tree in the park, knowing this is a 400-year-old tree in the making, and considering the sidewalks and being able to see what this is going to look like 50 to 100 years from now is what Parks and Rec professionals do every day for a living. So from the landscape architects to the engineers to the project managers to those putting together master plans, seeking funding to build something that excuse me, that the community will enjoy for many generations is part of leaving that legacy. Excuse me. And so this is a big chunk of a big reason why Parks and Rec professionals get involved, because they want to build something that lasts beyond them. And you get into a level of quality because quality can endure the test of time, and something made cheaply can fall apart in a short period of time. And so if you look at the playground you go get from whatever toy store for your backyard, and compare that to the playground that a city will put in. Well, one is a few $100s and the other one is a few $100,000. Um, One you just kind of screw together some pipes on a weekend with you and your uncle and your brother or whatever, and you've got the two swing sets and a slide and whatever, a little seesaw, and you just put it over a patch of grass. And then you've got these major construction projects. You're spending hundreds of $1,000s on the equipment, on the foundation, on the turf or the rubberized surfaces on there, fencing around there, park benches, sidewalks around it, lighting at night. And, people will spend anywhere from starting at a couple 100,000 to a couple million on a playground that will serve this community as a place for moms and children and grandparents and families to kind of spend some quality time together in the heart of your cities. Um, and that's just one example. We could say the same thing for the sports fields. We could say the same thing for so many different things that Parks and Recreation build. Hold on, I've got a okay. Yeah, I saw that. Thank you, Sherry. Um, so, leaving a legacy, excuse me, leaving a legacy, thinking long term, that is something that we get to do. It's kind of like a get to do, not a have to do, but it's something that we get to do, and that forces us to think. Um, that long-term thinking pulls out the best in you because it just requires a deeper level of thinking. You really have to think your projects through and try to anticipate many things in the future to come for that city, the population of the city, who's going to be using this, where is it located, how does it benefit the most people. And this is just where we really get to bring our best ideas, our best creators, our best minds. So leaving a legacy, that would be reason number 7. And I know a lot about I've studied a lot about legacy. I did start a nonprofit called Legacy Formation, so I'm really love that topic, and I love that it's so ingrained in the culture of Parks and Recreation. Okay, number 8, build community. So, fostering a sense of belonging and connection among individuals. It's about creating spaces where people can interact, collaborate, and support one another. Effective community building requires intentional effort, including establishing clear communication, organizing events, and fostering trust and leadership. And so when we think about building community, and this is something that's often just glossed over, we're building community. And so what does that mean? What does it mean to build community? And it can be such a blanketed term where we really don't dig deep into saying what are the mechanisms mechanistically, how do we build community, how do we get consensus, how do we understand what the people that use our parks want, what they enjoy, what creates great special events, what creates a great walking trail, what creates a great atmosphere for families to come have picnics together, what creates a good farmers market, what creates good programming and aquatics and well, this is the community building that Parks and Rec professionals do for a living. This is what they choose to gain expertise and mastery around, and this is what they um, build their skill set that's built over decades. So imagine someone thinking, let's take, for example, what makes a good farmer's market. And on year one, you can imagine if this is your first year putting together a farmer's market, it's just going to be a train wreck. There's just no way around it. But year two, you get to take all those year one lessons and momentum and contacts and vendors and roll them into the year two. Well, imagine 20 years after making a farmer's market, you get something like you see in New Orleans. If you haven't been, right there on Jackson Square, they have like the French market that is just like part of the sidewalks culture of New Orleans, and all the vendors that have been there for decades, and the people come from all around. If you visit New Orleans and you don't visit the farmers market, you're really missing out. But imagine the year one of building out the farmers market, um, for your city. But Parks and Rec professionals, they get to think this, I am starting a farmer's market that may last 50 years in this community, in the city center, in the downtown. And that's just one piece of building the community. But also, let's just say they're building a playground. Did you know that there's a part of Parks and Recreation where they go out in the community and try to understand what they want, get feedback, as much feedback as they can to people that are just walking the parks and trying to get all the stakeholders to weigh in on what they want. And then they get to go build it. And this is the community building that so many builders of our species, of our community want to take part in. So a lot of our landscape architects and engineers and project managers and people that like to roll up their sleeves and build something that's left behind that will stand the test of time. This is what they love to do. I'm thinking back to who I was when I was a little Lego maniac in my closet building things. Like, there are people among us that just love to build things, but not just like the bridges and the roads, but the playgrounds and the community. Those are builders too. And a lot of them are here in Parks and Recreation so that they get to do that for their community. So that's reason number 8. Okay. Reason number 9, and this kind of ties in a little bit with the people, but it's different. It's different than the people, but it's called, reason number 9 is called the network. So let me explain what interconnectivity, I looked up this definition of, it's called interconnectivity. So this is kind of a computer definition of interconnectivity, but you can also apply this, as you'll see, to whatever network you're a part of. So interconnectivity refers to the state or quality of being interconnected, particularly the ability of different systems, devices, or networks to connect and communicate with each other. In essence, it's about how easily things can link up and share information or resources. I know y'all are already connecting the dots. This concept is crucial in various fields, including telecommunications, data centers, and even our social interactions, enabling seamless collaboration and information exchange through a long established network. Okay, so that's interconnectivity. So through a long established network of state and national Parks and Rec conventions, Parks and Rec is a global leader in interconnectivity in its community. It's essentially one big family. And if you have been to a state, an annual state conference or an annual or national convention, you get to see this firsthand. The network ability of this industry is insane. And it's because each city operates like its own little independent kingdom. And there's no such thing as best kept secrets in Parks and Rec. The secrets of Parks and Rec are on full display and are constantly being traded back and forth between Parks and Rec professionals. It is the most internetworked community I have ever played a part in. They don't look at the town across the way as competition. They look at them as friends and family and resources where they can help each other. And so, going back to the farmers market example, if you meet a city that has an outstanding 20-year-old farmers market and you're just trying to get one started in your city, it's so common for that person, that director, to literally hand you the roadmap and playbook so that you can basically not start from zero, but you just capture it and kind of make it your own and make it for your own city. And then imagine that done across every single thing in Parks and Recreation. And so when you go to these events where you can network, you just end up having a family at your back so that when you're facing the problems that a Parks and Rec professional faces in their community, you're not facing them alone. You're not reinventing the wheel. This industry is so good at uh, handing information and enabling that seamless collaboration and information exchange. And that's one of the phrases that I saw was enabling seamless collaboration and information exchange. The way this industry exchanges information is so efficient, and there's no one throwing up roadblocks, trying to keep you out, protecting industry secrets, putting a patent on how we do things, which is common in every other industry. In this industry, it's just like hose pipes of information in every direction. And you see this real time when you go to a state, an annual state conference or event or the national events. So the network. All right. That was reason number 9. Number 10, I did not write out anything on this, so I'm just going to wing it on this one. But, this is my first stab at this, but who you will become in the process. So the skills developed when you, so it's, look at it this way. Let's say you want to climb Mount Everest, but you're not a climber. When you start the process of getting ready and training and actually climbing Mount Everest, you become a mountain climber in the process. And fail or succeed, even if you don't make it this trip, you became stronger. You gained the wisdom. You surrounded yourself by the experts. You surrounded yourself by the veterans. You've gained so much knowledge, and your body has morphed and changed and bent itself both mentally, emotionally, and physically into the person that could succeed at that journey. And so Parks and Rec is very much the same way. On day one, you're leaving college and the fire hose just starts of information and wisdom and things that need to happen. And you're given on day one, here you go, 21-year-old recent graduate from the university. This is your senior center and you got to run it. And there's the playbook, or there's not the playbook, but here's some networks. Call me if I can assist you. Go. I'm going to do my thing. And then they just walk away. And the next thing you know, you're in charge of a summer baseball league or a summer camp or an aquatic center or the marketing department. It's your baby. Figure it out and make it go. And imagine sitting in that classroom of experiential knowledge for 40 years, what that would make of you. You become, you go from being shy and not being able to communicate to being able to pitch a $50 million 10-year, what do they call them? Brain freeze. Master plan in front of all the elected officials and half the community. And you're just representing all the stakeholders. And here you are presenting to them. And just a few years ago, you had no idea about Parks and Rec. You weren't a good public speaker. You were kind of shy around people that were 10 and 20 and 30 years older than you. But Parks and Rec kind of throws you into the fire and gives you the ability, it gives you not the ability, but the opportunity to lead and the opportunity to build yourself as a leader. And on top of that, every full-time Parks and Rec professional usually has 1 to 2 part-timers, whether they're high schools or college kids or volunteers or coaches, that's part of their team. So you've got you and your senior center, maybe a couple of full-time staffers and a little team of volunteers and part-timers that you get to learn to lead people. You get to learn to serve the community. You get to learn to run a program. And this makes unbelievable leaders. And so what you become in the process is, and remember, when I'm interviewing people, people are looking back, and they always say hindsight's 2020, and they look back on what Parks and Rec made of them, and it's just, and they've gotten so used to it, like because on day one they were just thrown into the fire, and then after sitting in that fire for 40 years, it's just bombs going off and they're just unaffected and they just handle problems with such grace. And they have such grace under fire because they're constantly under fire. And it just makes quality people. And so this industry has a reputation for just building greatness in its individuals, in its professionals. And you can see that by just go listen to any of the shows that we've put on by people for the Daily Parks and Rec show. And you see that quality that's not a quality born, but built. Even though many of Parks and Rec professionals bring a certain high quality character to the table, but you can see that they were formed and forged in the fire on the battlefield, and they've got the scars to prove it, and they've got the nightless, the no weekends and holidays and festivals, and anything that could possibly go wrong has gone wrong on their watch, and they just handle it and deal with it, and they just become great individuals. So that's another great reason to join Parks and Rec. And so there it is, our top 10 reasons to join Parks and Recreation and consider this as a career choice. Now, what I'm hoping to do with that is to get better and better at just this list, compiling this list. What are the reasons? What are the whys? And continuing to pull that out of the community. So if you're listening to this and there is an 11th reason, or you'd like to expound upon one of the 10 reasons that we've already listed out, which is mainly coming from all of you, please put it in the comment section of this YouTube video that'll go out probably in a week or so, or on LinkedIn. Just throw it in whatever comment section you're on right now, and we'll get to it and add it to the conversation, because I really think it's important to tell your story, and then to tell it again, and then to just keep telling it and refining it and refining it, because to master anything, it really is about repetition. And I know y'all have heard me speak about the Malcolm Gladwell book called Outliers. If you haven't read it, it's an outstanding book. It's quite old now. I guess it's got to be 20 years old. But he talks about what it takes to truly master something is around 10,000 hours. And if you kind of break that down into the daily commitment, well, if you work for 8 hours a day at, say, the piano, so imagine sitting down at a piano for 8 straight hours. And the next day, on Tuesday, you do it again, and on Wednesday again, and Thursday again, and Friday again. So by the end of the week, you've got 40 hours, which is a regular work week, 40 hours of playing a piano. And the next week you do it again. You do that 52 times a year. That gets you to 50 times a year. You take 2 weeks vacation. That gives you 2,000 hours. You do that for 5 years, and you've reached what Malcolm Gladwell calls the masters. You've reached 10,000 hours. So if you're willing to keep up with that 8-hour-a-day pace for 5 straight years, you'll get there in 5 years. But if you only do 4 hours a day, which, can you imagine playing piano for 4 hours a day? It's going to take you 10 years, and 2 hours a day, it's going to take you 20 years. And if you just play an hour a day, 40 years. So you can see that when people attain mastery, it takes a long, long time. And so it's like anything else, being able to tell the story and tell it well, it just takes a lot of practice and deep thought, and just hours behind the podium, hours in front of the people, hours behind the mic, hours behind the camera to really hone in that story. And that's kind of what I'm wanting to do for the community, is really get that story out and be able to tell it and represent it well. And so I'm hoping that maybe about every 3 months I can revisit the top 10 reasons and continue to refine it, and just give that as a gift to the community, taking my notes and compiling them, and then coming back and just working on my craft, chiseling on that piece of marble. And hopefully maybe in 5 or 10 years, I'll have something great that you can then show to college kids and high school kids and say, hey, this is why we do what we do. This is why we're here. Okay, so that's the end of that. Now, I blew past the 30-minute mark. I was supposed to pause, but I was on a roll, so we're just going to keep it going. If you want to partner with the Daily Parks and Rec Show, with DPRS Media Company, we are now at the stage where we're looking to create a dozen more shows on specific topics under the umbrella of Parks and Recreation. And they'll be backed by vendors that will help me create the content, provide the expertise and wisdom of how they serve the Parks and Rec community. So a great example would be if we created financial services or a financial Friday show in Parks and Recreation, where when we just say, all right, of all things Parks and Rec, let's just make a show about the finances And what's going to be under that? That's going to be master planning, accounting, bookkeeping, budgeting. Um, did I say master planning? I think I did, but there was another one that fits well. Oh, grant writing, um, funding, um, different ways to get funding, ideas, how to involve your local community of vendors and businesses in supporting your, and so we could easily create a weekly show, and then we do have a lot of companies whose job is to consult and create master plans and to help with the accounting. And so what I'd like to do is to find 4 vendors that wanna help me create, a weekly show, and then they would just once a month help me create a segment by either saying, "Well, here's how we advise the city. Here's one of our best clients," and maybe get them on board to come do an episode with them and just help to create content around finances in Parks and Rec and create a weekly show for Parks and Recreation, not just a general finance show, but a municipal government Parks and Recreation finance show, that weekly we could just hammer on the topic of finance inside the Parks and Rec community. And that would be like a standalone show. And so then we have other shows that we could do. Let me pull that up. Here we go. Well, where did I put that? Let's see. Oh, it's right here. Sorry, guys. I'm just clicking around. Bear with me. I want to read off of these. I tell you what I'll do. I will play this promo for the partners. So this is a commercial wave for the partners, and that'll give me a chance, a minute and 20 seconds to find it. So I'll play this, and then we'll be right back and talk more about how you can partner with the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion Parks and Rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move Parks and Rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.
All right. Thank you, Chris, for making that. That's just a beautiful explanation of what we're trying to do here. Finding strategic partners that want to help us to create shows for specific topics within the industry. And so similar to the Financial Friday show that we would like to create, there's another one that's coming up that two actually that I'm really interested in just because I have a passion for IT and software and technology, but I wanted to create like a smart city show. So a smart city is an urban area that uses technology and data to enhance the quality of life for its residents, improve efficiency, promote sustainability. It leverages information communication technologies, Internet of Things, to connect various urban systems and services, optimizing resource management, infrastructure, public services, stuff like that. And there's a lot of great companies doing good work, trying to upgrade our cities to be smart cities so that they can operate with much more information, using big data, using a lot of the different hardwares and devices that connect the kind of the hub of the city. Think of the IT department in a room with all these computers connected to different doors and different lights and different watering systems, and they're able to actually understand what's going on in the city and provide a much higher level of service through all this interconnected devices. This is all called smart city. And so I personally know of a few companies that this is what they do. And they do a great job doing it. And so I'm starting to reach out to some of those people. And if this kind of describes your company and what it does, then please reach out to me and let's create a weekly show for smart cities and provide some really good value in education and products and services that cities can use. So that's one. Another one would be software companies. So, gosh, I think everybody now, well, I say it. I know there are some cities that are still strapped to spreadsheets and paper checks, and you name it. But a lot of cities are starting to get heavily involved in software, and this is soft payment processing, camp registration, work order software. There's a company that comes to mind that works with deferred maintenance and keeping track of what's the state of the facilities and what are the urgent needs, what are the like to have, want to have kind of stuff, need to have, and there's softwares that take care of all this. And so I'd like to create a software in Parks and Rec so that we can really help cities understand how they use software. What are the cities that use software a lot and the best, and which companies that they use, and the companies that will help us build that. I'd like to need 4 companies for each show to create a weekly show just on software in Parks and Recreation. I've already spoken about the finance. I'd love to create this one. I'm going to have to push this one, but I'd love to create one on robots in Parks and Rec. So this could be um, the autonomous lawnmowers. I think the first wave of robots were the ones that painted and striped the baseball field and the soccer field and the football fields. But then we're starting to see this wave of lawnmowers, and eventually there's going to be trimmers and weed eaters. There's going to be little robots that will go and completely clean a bathroom, robots that will clean gym floors and stuff like that. And I've already seen robots that are taking out trash, zip tying, putting in new plastic liners. These are bipedal humanoid robots that are coming. So the robots are coming, and I'd love to create a show in advance because, well, I've already got a few cities that I've interviewed. Now, didn't mean to leave out our flying robots that are already quadcopters, 10-foot long, 150-pound payload that can spray weed killer, fertilizer, pesticides, and that can use facial recognition to identify plants that we want, that we don't want, and can just fly over, and that need drone licenses. Like, robots are coming. It's here. Many of our cities, and I've had them on the show, shout out to Kim Bybee and Richard over in Carrollton, Texas, have, I think, approaching 20 robots and a full-on electric fleet that has an electric truck, electric mowers, blowers, weed eaters. Like, there are cities that are taking the bull by the horns and just going for it, embracing it, and providing a much higher level of service through human robot partnership. And anyway, you can see I'm passionate about that one. That would be a great show, and I'd love to help create it. Now, we are very close to launching our urban forestry show. Shout out to all my master arborists that maintain, tree inventories upwards of 5,000 to 20 to 30,000 trees that, provide great shade, beauty, and take care of these trees, both in pruning, irrigation, sometimes sick tree removal, replanting. It is a whole field. The study of trees is just beautiful. And I'm a big fan of trees because I live in the South, and without trees, we would all be probably dead from heat exhaustion. So we've got a few on the hook. But if you are a bucket truck, chipper truck, chainsaw, whatever, or just a consulting company, or you have master arborists that consult and work with, or you're a tree company that maybe grows saplings or whatever, if urban forestry is your wheelhouse or your commercial endeavor, let's create a show together for Parks and Recreation, because urban forestry is completely different than other. I mean, the urban forests are the ones that are growing and protecting and to give that tree a shot at being 300 years old, whereas a lot of trees that don't have protection just get cut down in their 20s and 50s. But if you look at the old ancient trees, they're on universities, on public land, and they're protected. And that's where we get these monuments to Mother Nature in our communities. It's basically the Parks and Rec department protecting and caring for them along the way. So I'd love to create a show, and we're definitely going to create a show on that one. There's also another one. So you got 7 minutes left. Park design. So park design is landscape architects, engineering firms, designing the playgrounds. I mean, there's so much that goes into designing a park, and I'd kind of like to just have a weekly show on here's your raw piece of land. Here's all things to consider about building out a park. I'd also like to do another show, and I don't know if this will be a standalone show, but maybe it could, because I'm starting to learn in Colorado, they take trail and path creation to a whole nother level. These are like little freeways of e-bikes and strollers and people walking for health, people walking for socializing, and people getting to work. And it's just like this highway of like sometimes 20-foot wide, paved through subdivisions and parks and stuff. And they manage it. And it's crazy what they manage and how advanced they are in Colorado. And I know there's some other states doing it, but I've found out, like many other things in making the show, that trail and path design is a beast, and there's a lot that goes into it. We could also do a playground show. I know there's a lot of playground manufacturers and pump tracks and splash pads and outdoor workout facilities, park builders. I'm thinking there's got to be a way to make a show just on that whole part of and it's not just playgrounds. It's basically you've got a park and you've got this thing that just attracts kids and skateboarders and whatever, and grandpa's pushing kids on swings and stuff like that. And so we could easily do a weekly show just on that. Another show would be turf and golf course. This is huge. I mean, maintaining turf, whether it's the grass, the dirt, the soil, the water, the irrigation, the drainage, all the equipment that goes along to mowing and edging and plugging and fertilizing and you name it. That's a super heavy lift. I mean, it's actually the thing cutting the grass sometimes is the thing that the community thinks it's the only thing we do. Like, parks just cut the grass. They just mow and blow, and that's all they do. So we should probably create a whole show about the stereotype of who we are, even though it's so much more in parks and recreation, in keeping the grass cut. And keeping the grass cut is quite a complex task that goes super deep. And I've had a lot of great facilities maintenance people on our facilities maintenance morning show that can attest to that and do deep dives into the whole world of turf and golf course maintenance. And so those were some of the kind of short put ideas. We actually have a few more, but I'm running out of time, so don't have time to do all that. But let me go ahead and ending with turf maintenance. I'm going to run our promo for the facilities maintenance show, and then we'll come back and close it out.
Behind every thriving park, every safe playground, every event-ready field, there's a team working before sunrise and long after sunset. This is Facility Maintenance, the only show created for and by the unsung heroes of parks and recreation. Brought to you by DPRS Media Co, where real work gets real recognition. From restrooms to rec centers, HVAC to turf tech, we go beyond the job site into the heart of operations that keep our communities moving. Our mission? To elevate maintenance teams through stories, solutions, and shared experience. Our vision? A world where every facility crew is seen, valued, and fully supported. Each episode features operators, innovators, and leaders, sharing tools, tech, and tactics that make the impossible look easy. Facility maintenance isn't just a job. It's purpose, it's passion, and now it's a show. Facility Maintenance, where tools meet purpose, where work becomes legacy.
All right. So thank you to all our facilities, park maintenance professionals that are working tirelessly. Easily 1/2 to 1/3 of all the effort that goes into parks and recreation is on this maintenance side. It is just a huge heavy lift for the industry to keep these things looking beautiful. And sometimes you don't recognize the work they're done till that one toilet's broken, and you just focus on that, not realizing all the other stuff that's working properly on that field or on that concession stand or whatever. That's that community center. So really love all the hard work that they do, and want to thank them for that. All right. So next up, we have our Youth Sports Mastery show with host Aaron Locks. He is a master when it comes to all things youth sports. He's been doing this for 40 years. He has an amazing company called the National Academy of Athletics. They will help any Parks and Rec department run the programming for the sports that they don't have, or completely turnkey and take over all the sports and programming and provide all the coaching necessary to run a whole facility, to run an entire sports programming. Or they will just start volleyball and you run everything else that you're already doing well. So whatever you don't have, whatever you're not doing well, but would like to offer your community, you can hire Aaron's company, and they come in and train the coaches. They recruit the coaches, they find the coaches, and they find a partnership between you that works for you in your Parks and Rec department. And I met him through doing this show. And after finding out his company culture and the types of people that he hires and what he thinks about youth sports, I was like, man, let's do a weekly show just on youth sports. And he has been a man of his word, getting the best coaches, athletic directors, people in youth sports to come on his show and to share their story. It's great content. It's every Thursday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. It starts in about 25 minutes, and here's a little promo for it, and then I'll come right back.
At DPRS Media Co, we don't just create content. We elevate community through storytelling. Now, we're proud to introduce the newest addition to the family. Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery, the podcast where champions are shaped, not just on the field, but in life. Hosted by National Academy of Athletics founder Aaron Locks. Youth Sports Mastery dives deep into how youth sports can empower kids, strengthen communities, and build leaders. From coaching culture to recreation strategy, and from player development to parent impact, every episode brings game-ready insight from the people making it happen. Youth Sports Mastery goes live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics and powered by DPRS Media Co. This is where purpose meets play.
All right, guys, that show starts in about 20 minutes. So go take a bio break, grab a cup of coffee, Coke, whatever you need for the coming towards the end of the week, and tune in to the Youth Sports Mastery Show, sponsored by the National Academy of Athletics and hosted by the founder, Aaron Locks. He has a great guest scheduled for us today, and that will be starting at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. That's every Thursday. This is Craig LeBlanc, the doorman, signing off for the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Love you guys. Y'all have an awesome day. Bye.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co, we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion Parks and Rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move Parks and Rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.